Hey, managers of the Super Conference. This is your Commissioner Tyler Burkhart here with a Week 2 recap. So let's get started right to the awards. Had a lot of action, but some great managers that came out of Week 2. Probably the runner-up for the Best Manager Award, Kyle Armstrong, making some good starts with Cam Newton, Ben Tate. But the Best Manager of Week 2 goes to Brian Edmondson. Now, Brian Edmondson scored the second most points in our league with 130. Made the acquisition of Devery Henderson, who scored about 16 fantasy points. And hopefully Moreno will be hurt for Brian Edmondson more often because it looks like McGahee, as the feature back, is the better fantasy starter. So all helped him get 130 points. Well-rounded team, showing why he might be the best team in our league. Brian Edmondson, Best Manager of Week 2. Worst manager, there's actually a few I thought about putting in here, but I'm going to go with Michael Hemmer. Now, Mike Hemmer scored the lowest amount of points in our league with 72, but that's not the main reason why I'm putting him here. The main reason is because I didn't see him do anything after Week 1. He didn't make a trade in order to try to get a better quarterback. He didn't try to increase depth at any other positions. And, he's got great running back depth for him. But maybe it's time to think about trading one of them to increase quarterback, which I understand there's a lot of depth, but Matt Castle is not going to cut it for you for this season. So this is the reason why I have Mike Hemmer at Week 2 as worst manager. And I still think, he's got some pieces where he could put something together, but he's going to have to act this week if he wants to do it. MVP of the week, I'm going to go with a slight upset. I'm going to go Cam Newton for the Seattle Sasquatches. When looking at MVP, I want to pick a player that was on a team where it was in a close match, where they really made a difference. And Cam Newton, with 26 fantasy points, really made that difference, ran over 50 yards in a TD, threw for over 400 yards. So those are pretty good stats when it comes to fantasy football. So Cam Newton for Week 2. Best game of the week, I understand, my team with Washington Stimulus taking on San Diego Whales lived up to expectations, but neither of us got over 100 points. So instead, I'm going to actually go with the Minnesota Bryans and Oakland Velos. Both teams got over 100 points. Tom Brady and Jeremy Maclin for Oakland scored a ton of points, but the punch of Adrian Peterson, Michael Turner, and a well-rounded roster took over Oakland. So that was a pretty fun matchup to watch in Week 2, and that gets my best game. Biggest upset, without a question, actually could be the biggest upset in our league ever coming into Year 2, is San Antonio Toros over Green Bay Legends. San Antonio Toros team might actually be better than we think. Best and Matthews both looked solid, and Freeman I'm starting to like a little bit better and better. I still think he's overhyped, but the team is starting to come around. Now, meanwhile, I think this game shows that Green Bay Legends has a lot of holes, especially at the running back position. And Adam has to understand Tolbert's not going to get him 3 touchdowns every week. I mean, this week I think he ran for 10 yards. So Pierre Thomas is injury prone. Traded for Cadillac Williams, who's only going to started last week, and I think Steven Jackson's going to be back. I mean, there's a lot of holes here, and so Green Bay Legends is going to have to make some more trades if he wants to compete in our league. So let's go right to the rankings. You're going to start realizing we do have a few changes here. First big jump, New York Blackout. Pre-ranked him at 8. Went up to 7 last week, but I'm going to jump him up to 2. I mean, that's 2 weeks in a row now he's gone over 100 points. Phillip Rivers, Jennings, Brandon Marshall, Maurice Jones-Drew, James Starks. I like him in the long run. This is a team that could be put together and could be a very solid team. So I really like New York Blackout here. I understand San Fran Frenzy and Seattle Sasquatches have some great great rosters and players for their teams, but I'm going to move them down 1. Seattle hasn't even gone over 100 yet this year, and with the loss to Jamal Charles, San Fran Frenzy now doesn't look like a team I think that can win it all in this league. Sure, they'll probably get to the playoffs because they're in the weak division, but Darren McFadden's not going to take you to the championship. Another move that I had too, you'll see San Antonio Toros. I moved up to 12. I explained earlier why that is. LA Seismic Quakes went down from 11 to 15 because his running backs are not producing. And Portland Car Ramrod, I mean, I called it from the beginning. You can read my post in the forum. Arian Foster, I think, is going to be a terrible play the whole entire season because of this this injury to his hamstring. I think it's going to keep coming up. And unless he decides to trade, increase his depth, I don't see anything else in this team. Sure, Steve Smith had 2 good weeks, but how often is Cam Newton going to throw over 400 yards? So those are some changes. Otherwise, New York Yankees is introduced to the top half as well with a win as well. So let's go to our week 3 now. Game of the week, I got Green Bay Legends taking on New York Blackout. One team on the rise, one team's on the fall. But with this, with a win for Green Bay Legends, really can make things interesting in the NFC East. So that's a game I really like. A lot of key matchups. A lot of San Diego Chargers taking on the Kansas City Chiefs. So potential for 2 teams to have a lot of points in this matchup. And then my week 3 upset special, I don't see many. I really don't. Once again, I think with the matchups, there's going to be a lot of games that are 20-point victors. But I'm going to go in the New York Yankees over the Washington Stimulus. Like I said, when I do these, unbiased, and I think I could get upset this week. But it all depends on Tony Romo's health. If Tony Romo's not healthy, not only is he a bad play, but Des Bryant's a bad play for New York. And then I think I got the edge. What I don't like about my team this week, Reggie Wayne going against Pittsburgh, Cedric Benson going against San Francisco. So, and even maybe Forte against Green Bay. It all depends if Green Bay or how quickly Chicago can score in that game. Finally, let's go to the predictions for week 2. And New York Blackout's going to take that home. He actually got all 8 out of 8 games right, the only one to do so. So he will take home 10 FAAB dollars for the week. So that pretty much concludes week 2. I'll be interested to see what you all do as far as trades, acquisitions, pickups, and who you start entering week 3. This is your Commissioner Tyler Burkhart. Game on.